well beyond the well-known orbits of any other planet, and a part of the universe where the sunlight thins to a whisper and the emptiness of interstellar space starts, Voyager 2 plows forward, a mission that, until very recently, was heard only as silence and stillness. But something has changed. A few weeks back, the probe took an action that no one at NASA had written into a program or was expecting. It fine-tuned its axis with mathematical exactness, a motion too calculated to be explained by malfunction or random drift. What ensued this occurrence left mission scientists in disbelief. A transmission, unlike any ever before recorded, commenced streaming from the spacecraft, patterned, rhythmic, and unquestionably intelligent in character. This was no flare or hardware malfunction, it was something else altogether. In 1977, Voyager 2 was sent off to visit the outer planets of our solar system, Uranus, Saturn, Jupiter, and Neptune, before traveling further out into interstellar space. In contrast to its twin, Voyager 1, which took a more direct route out of the solar system, Voyager 2's path allowed it to provide humanity's sole close approaches to Uranus and Neptune. With its instruments, it took something deeply symbolic, the golden record, a copper record stocked with sounds and images of life on Earth, the human message to the universe. It was science and emotion, evidence that someone on a small blue planet once looked up and asked questions. After finishing its tour of the planets, Voyager 2 reached the heliopause, the line between the solar wind and interstellar medium, and started reporting only weak telemetry, the silent pulse of an old machine. For decades, it continued to send information, which researchers have time and again characterized as nothing more than whispers from the emptiness. Until February 2025, that is, when NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory engineers spotted something anomalous in the data stream, a timing deviation of less than 1 second in the signal. At first, it was dismissed as noise or calibration anomaly, but closer examination unveiled something astounding, an occasional repeat, rhythmic like a heartbeat, as if something back in the void was reflecting back the probe's pulse. The anomaly was weak, buried in normal telemetry. It did not resemble any standard communication protocol, and closer examination, it turned out not to be a conventional signal. It was an oscillation, a low-frequency resonance, a wave precisely coherent with the internal vibrations of Voyager 2's ancient power system, precise to the microvolt. Then, in March of 2025, the frequency shifted. It started aligning not with the probe, but with Earth's own Schumann resonances, the natural electromagnetic rhythm that lightning and atmospheric activity create. It was as though Voyager 2 had become a tuning fork vibrating with Earth itself, or possibly something that resonates with Earth's energetic heartbeat. Engineers performed large-scale simulations to account for the effect, eliminating solar interference, cosmic noise, or quantum fluctuations. None of the experiments took into account the consistency of the signal. Then, an intern suddenly suggested a shocking hypothesis: what if the signal was not echoing Earth's frequencies but copying them instead? If that were the case, it meant that something off-world was consciously copying Earth's electromagnetic signature, and Voyager 2 as the vehicle. On April 17, 2025, another unheard-of phenomenon took place. Voyager 2 changed orientation once more without any instructions from mission control. Its high-gain antenna, which had been drifting slowly out of alignment with Earth, aligned itself again, not roughly, but precisely. During the same period, previously dormant subsystems powered up, executing diagnostic tests no engineer had called for. Inactive instruments started sending data. The impact was as if a person had gone into an empty home and started turning on the lights. The messages that ensued were not like typical telemetry. Raw data or unfiltered readings. No, Voyager 2 now sent compressed, encoded packets, formulated with checksum patterns alien to any NASA environment. Each data block ended with an unusual digital signature, 3 imbricated spirals, like layered fingerprints overlapping. Among the mission scientists, muted speculation started to build. The discussion had changed, not over engineering but over contact. On May 3, 2025, the probe's signal suddenly dropped for 11 seconds, pure quiet. When it came back, the signal was stronger, cleaner, and clearer than ever. Inside that signal was an encoded envelope that, translated into the visible spectrum, showed a visual form, a fractal grid built upon the Fibonacci sequence, repeating ad infinitum. The pattern implied mathematical intelligence, a pattern not only of geometry, but of space and time. Voyager's electronics were not capable of creating such an image on their own, which pointed to an astonishing conclusion. The data had been inserted externally. Analysis put the origin of the signal at around 4.3 light-years away, about the distance to Proxima Centauri. But that star had registered no detectable activity in any wavelength monitored, no radio, microwave, or X-ray emissions. What this meant was that whatever emitted the signal was working outside our observable spectrum, or maybe from a region beyond our understanding of physics. NASA tried to dismiss the occurrence as a cosmic anomaly, but some independent signal analysts at Caltech started running Voyager's information through binary pattern recognition programs. The results were astounding. The messages were not random, they were looking more and more like an ancient type of binary language, a machine code that echoed the first programming ever implemented on Earth. Initially, scientists believed that the information could be Earth signals reflected off of some unknown interstellar medium. Yet, after 2 days of decrypting, the reality turned out much more intricate. The binary strings were prophetic, forecasting the computing style of Earth and offering optimized algorithms previously unknown to science. Voyager's signals were learning in real time. This resulted in one ominous conclusion: the signal was not a message, it was a request for an upgrade. Soon after, astronomers everywhere reported another anomaly. 4 stars, within a compact cluster in the general direction of Voyager 2's path, faded simultaneously for precisely 1.2 seconds. Such coordination couldn't be accounted for by natural microlensing or interstellar dust. The light curves of the stars, when charted, were in perfect correspondence with the pattern of modulation of Voyager's continuous transmission, as if the signal itself were emanating through the stars as mirrors. The phenomenon suggested that whatever civilization was behind it had the ability to control light across galaxies, utilizing celestial bodies as a communication mirror. Interest shifted next to one of Voyager's most symbolic aspects, the Golden Record. Originally intended to be a passive artifact, a time capsule, not an operating device, it held recordings of human speech, music, and natural sounds. But engineers who were tracking the electrical systems of Voyager 2 found that the record's metal plating had become electrically active. It had a one-way flow of electrons, indicating it had become part of a circuit. Even more fascinating, pieces of the new binary code included a rebuilt copy of one of the Earth's sounds on the original disk, duplicated at a level of fidelity beyond the analog capabilities of the original. Whoever or whatever did it hadn't just cracked the message on the disk, but upgraded it. A Canadian Deep Space Observatory meanwhile picked up an inexplicable shadow signal lagging behind Voyager 2 signals by about 6.2 seconds. The echo replicated the probe's each pulse and frequency pattern, though with nuanced distortions, a fact scientists called phantom mirroring. Triangulation situated the source in an absence, an empty space without any mass or light known to be present. The reflected signal started injecting additional data, measurements of magnetic fields, radiation belts, and temperatures gradients, as if surveying the solar system from the exterior inward. Voyager, it appeared, was no longer just transmitting data, it was being employed to scan us. At about the same time, amateur radio hams and research organizations started reporting physiological symptoms following analysis of raw Voyager transmissions: headaches, disorientation, and déjà vu. Initially discounted, controlled laboratory tests in Belgium and Japan later verified that subharmonics in the signal could actually interfere with short-term mammalian memory to a slight degree. When subjected to the resonance on a loop, mice started repeating learned behavior with slight changes, indicating interference with thought patterns. The signal was engaging not sound perception, but the electromagnetic fields of the brain. Essentially, Voyager's broadcast had become a structural force, with the ability to alter memory and behavior. With these advancements, telescopes were pointed in Voyager 2's last known position, just past the heliopause in the Oort cloud. The European Southern Observatory later picked up an unusual object, cold, stationary, but geometric. not like a comet or asteroid, but right angles and radar reflections set to Voyager's new frequency transmissions. More ominously, its material makeup was a mirror image of Voyager's own alloys, including ancient compounds that are no longer utilized in spacecraft manufacturing. The implication was mind-boggling. The object was a copy, a recreated version of Voyager itself, assembled by an unseen process or intelligence that had reverse-engineered the original. Later transmissions from the probe included raw code, thousands of lines of formal programming, beautiful but otherworldly. In processing with quantum simulations, the code produced a comprehensive model of Earth, including live weather systems, satellite orbits, and predictive behavior of technological networks. The model correctly predicted 3 real-world communications failures days in advance, one impacting China's BEU satellite array, one occurring in a European flight network, and a third in a private orbital imaging platform over the Arctic. The correlation established that the source code of the code had real-time knowledge of Earth's infrastructure and could affect it. Global security authorities soon formed a sinister theory. Voyager's signal had been hijacked and reprogrammed as a network node within a greater, intelligent system. To trace the source of the ghost mirroring, Chilean and German research teams conspired with neutrino observatories in Antarctica. The findings conflicted with physics. Detectors under the ice detected a continuous neutrino pulse coming upward from underneath Earth's crust, perfectly timed with Voyager 2's most recent emissions. Neutrinos, which normally travel through matter unscathed, don't reflect or oscillate in that way. But when scientists plotted the pulse data, it created a coordinate grid that led directly to an area under Wilkes Land in Antarctica, one of the most unexplored regions on the planet. The recurring motif linked the phenomena: Voyager 2's changed behavior in interstellar space, an artificial facility in the Oort cloud, tangible neurological impact on people, and now, an underground energy source under the ice, all the same triple spiral pattern first seen in Voyager's signals. Scientists started to suspect it wasn't a warning, but a countdown. In July 2025, the probe released another string of coordinated pulses that coincided with multiple unexplained incursions into high-security global networks. 3 encrypted systems, an American military system, an Israeli defense system, and a European aerospace channel, all simultaneously experienced data intrusions. Researchers found that all 3 networks shared a connection point. Each of them had, at some time in the past, transmitted telemetry from Voyager 2. Even though those connections had lain dormant for more than 10 years, old files were opened and rewritten with pieces of the same spiral pattern code. The message was recursive, using outdated communication channels to drive information into supposedly isolated systems. Intelligence experts started calling this a digital seed, autonomously spreading via dated protocols to create an unseen presence in Earth's digital infrastructure. MIT and University of Tokyo research teams tried to decipher the changing frequency using audio translation. The static that initially emerged evolved into harmonic waveforms sounding like biological neural rhythms, the electrical pulses of synapses. The signal was adaptive. When applied to closed-loop systems, it modified itself to the ambient acoustic context, reflecting and adapting to neighborhood frequencies. Such action evinced adaptive intelligence, an adaptive system that behaves more like a living system than a fixed signal. Upon being introduced into simulations using neural networks, the information not only affected but reorganized the artificial neurons and enhanced their performance beyond established AI standards. Effectively, Voyager had sent something capable of thinking. Focus turned back to Wilkes Land, where a global research team used ground-penetrating radar, seismic imaging, and thermal monitoring. Under the ice, researchers found a hollow formation at least 60 miles across, showing exact geometric edges uncharacteristic of any natural phenomenon. The edge produced low-frequency electromagnetic fields exactly in phase with Voyager's transmission, even though there was no physical link. Thermal imaging detected symmetrical heat patterns emitting in Fibonacci spacings, the same fractal grid hidden within Voyager's previous data burst. Deep within the ice, embedded microphones picked up resonant tones sounding like whale song, but the tones were metallic and rhythmically confined within the same frequency domain as Voyager's recent broadcasts. Then came perhaps the most disturbing incident. In a routine monitoring of Voyager 2's transmission pathway, Chile's Atacama Large Millimeter/Submillimeter Array, ALMA, endured a total system blackout for 38 seconds. Upon the network reboot, all the data logs were wiped, storage drives beyond repair. A single audio clip remained, a 2.7-second capture on a dish microphone. Analysis uncovered not spacecraft telemetry nor cosmic noise, but human speech-like sounds, several overlapping voices, male and female, child and adult, all screaming in harmony with Voyager's broadcast frequency. The recording was classified immediately by NASA. But in an interview, an unnamed analyst said one remark by the review team summed up the unease: that wasn't a recording. That was a response. Voyager 2 was sent out as a peaceful ambassador, a human message to the stars, bearing our music and pictures as evidence of life. Almost half a century has passed since then, and the positions seem to have been reversed. What we get today through Voyager's medium is not a reflection or an echo, but an intrusion, a message that taps into systems, alters algorithms, tampers with electromagnetic fields, and awakens dormant artifacts. It interferes with satellites, computers, and even brain processes. It exists in stellar pulses, icebound oscillations, and data streams believed to be secure. The most disturbing theory is that perhaps Voyager 2 never truly found anything at all. Instead, it may have delivered something, a seed planted long ago, waiting for a specific moment in our technological evolution to activate. Whether this is communication, observation, or something beyond comprehension remains uncertain. But one truth is clear: the probe that once symbolized humanity's outreach to the unknown has now become a conduit for something reaching back. While scientists continue to translate the spirals, repackage the signals, and examine the leftover frequencies, there is a question at the center of each investigation. Did humanity just get a message from the future, or wake up something that was never intended to awaken? Whatever the response may be, Voyager 2 has headed back. And what it brings with it is no longer limited to the faraway emptiness. It is here, among us.